important as the device itself is the service component that goes along with this device, because it's not going to be very helpful to get it if you then can't use it, or to get the wrong one, etc. So keep that in mind. Next. Okay, let's talk about how one might access assistive technology through Oklahoma Able Tech, because we're going to talk about both the access to and the acquisition of, as I mentioned a minute ago, when you saw what the mission was, to increase the access to and the acquisition of AT. Quickly, with regard to accessing AT, there are several ways to do that with Able Tech. One is through device demonstrations. So we have a really large inventory of assistive technology devices, over 3,500 such devices. We ship them statewide. A demonstration means that someone has the opportunity to try to compare the features of a switch or a speech device or some other type of hearing device. How do you know which one's going to work for you? You learn that through a device demonstration where you can compare and contrast the features of different hearing, vision, speech, learning, cognition, recreation. There are 10 categories, all the devices. Well, now that you've had the opportunity to have that device demonstrated, the idea is to make an informed decision. How do I know it's going to work for me? And it's equally important to know that it is or it isn't, because you want to ensure that through that demonstration process, you're getting a device that you know is going to meet your needs going forward, not have a device purchased for you that is not going to meet your needs. So the next idea along this chain of increased access is device short-term loans. We then provide free loans for 6 weeks. We ship all over the state to any individual with a disability, their family member, their school, to anyone, and it's completely free. And after trying it for 6 weeks in either the educational setting, the employment setting, the community living setting, we provide, at the time that it is shipped, a postage paid mailing receipt, so that all you have to do is put that postage paid address label back on the box that it was shipped to you in, and you return it for free. We don't want the idea of being able to borrow and trial it before acquiring it to be any sort of burden for anyone. Therefore, all of this is provided free to everyone all over the state. We also provide a lot of information and assistance. What that looks like is emails and telephone calls. We finished doing our data for this past year. Our federal year goes October through September, so we just finished compilating all of our data, and we were able to do 12,500 INA calls or emails this past year. So you see, we're helping a lot of people all the time. And we also do training and technical assistance. We have workshops. We do anything that would help the individual better learn, the therapist that works with that individual, the teacher that works with that individual, the family member that works with that individual. Right now, we're doing a lot of that virtually, but at some point in time, I'm sure we'll go back to in-person trainings and technical assistance as well. Next. So how does one acquire AT through Oklahoma Able Tech? We have a number of programs for that as well. Device reutilization is one. We do this in partnership with the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority. They actually provide us with a contract to retrieve, refurbish, repair, and reassign for free durable medical equipment to individuals all over the state. Once we bring that equipment in and get it ready and post it on our website, for the first 30 days, it is preference to provide it to a Sooner Care member because they are providing us with this contractual money. On day 31, it becomes available to any Oklahoma citizen who has completed the application and who has a doctor's script for this particular durable medical equipment. And over the past 8 years, we have provided $4+ million in durable medical equipment to the citizens of Oklahoma. How else can you acquire the AT? We have financial loan program. This we do in partnership with the Oklahoma Assistive Technology Foundation and Bank First of Stillwater. Frequently, there are laws in place, be it IDEA or the Rehab Act, where individuals might acquire equipment that they need in the way of assistive technology through one of those laws that are established. But if you are not going to be able to be eligible for one of those laws and acquire the equipment, you can do so through a bank loan. It is a low interest loan with very flexible repayment terms. To find out more about it, again, be sure and look on our website. Over the past 20 years, we have done over $8 million in low interest financial loans to Oklahomans needing assistive technology. Frequently, it's hearing aids because very few insurance companies provide hearing aids. Also, we do a number of loans for modified vehicles, vans and such. And the third one that I want to visit about is the Sooner Care, provider of speech generating devices. We do this in partnership with Oklahoma Healthcare Authority. Frequently, and this is only done, all the other programs were across the lifespan, but the SGDs are up to age 21. We don't, the Healthcare Authority does not provide these to adults in Oklahoma. But annually, we are able to help. We could help more. It's just that the ones that have reached out to us, the speech therapists, annually, we have been able to provide for about 5 years now, 20 to 25 iPads as speech generating devices for children across the state of Oklahoma. As you well know, there are AAC devices, augmentative and alternative devices for communicating. Frequently, those are quite pricey. What a speech generating device is where someone has been able to take an iPad and put the appropriate app on that iPad, and it costs much less than the typical AAC device. So we are a vendor of those devices for the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority. Next. What else do we do? Well, I spoke a little bit about training opportunities. Here's a little bit more of an in-depth dive about what I'm referring to. We have a large contract with the State Department of Education to provide assistive technology and information services to Oklahoma public schools. We do this through AT support teams that attend our workshops. We do a series of 3 every fall and every spring. If you look at the bottom of this slide, you'll see where you can sign up for or find out more information about how to participate in one of those workshops. We provide AT consultations statewide, again, on our website. There's a consultation form. We encourage parents and therapists and teachers to fill out this form, because the better that you can provide information about what the child is having a barrier to in the classroom with regard to learning, the more we can more quickly fine-tune what type of assistive technology might meet that child's needs, and then ship it directly to the school or the home for the 6-week free trial period. Of course, I already mentioned that we do AT demonstrations. Now that's all being done virtually. And we do short-term loans all over the state for free for 6 weeks with the postage paid label that's included. We do a number of other types of trainings. We started doing a series of funding trainings so that people can take, it's there to sort of take the mystery out of the funding puzzle that most people find very confusing on what do I qualify for, how can I get funding. Funding always seems, of course, to be the problem in acquiring the needed AT. We have a large series of videos that are done. In fact, Able Tech has its own YouTube channel that you can check out many, many types of videos on, specific to the services we provide or specific to different types of AT. For more information about a variety of technical assistance documents, newsletters, workshops, various make and takes, all of that can be found at the website provided there below. Next. What else do we do with regard to training? We have a large contract with the State Department of Rehabilitation Services. It's actually, I guess you would say, nicknamed for short, Access for All. And why is it called that? Because again, with the passage of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, where we receive our funding and where also the Rehab Act is incorporated as part of WIOA, it is done to ensure that all job seekers across the state of Oklahoma have equal access to needed employment services as part of Oklahoma's workforce system under WIOA, the Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act. So therefore, we assist the rehab department in ensuring that all the American Job Centers across the state are fully accessible, both physically accessible and technologically accessible. It does no good for an individual with a disability to want to go to one of the American Job Centers to see about an employment opportunity if they can't get in the front door, or if once they get in the front door, they can't access the bathroom, or even worse yet, once they get in the door, they can't access the computer or any of the software programs to see about applying for a job and actually getting a job. So not only are we working with all of these centers to ensure that they're physically accessible to all individuals, but also so that all of the software programs are technologically accessible. Should someone be blind? Should someone be colorblind? Should someone not have the use of their hands to access the keyboard, or a variety of other issues that prevent them from having technological access? We've also provided assistive technology kits to various American Job Centers to help make them more aware that when an individual comes in, if they have a hearing loss or a vision loss or a learning disability, what kinds of AT is available to help that individual so that they can easily access the services that are available through the American Job Center. Again, we've created a number of tips, newsletters, webinars that are archived, and all of that can be found on our website at the following link. Next. AT Discovery. When we began doing workshops as part of our State Department of Ed contract about 6 or 7 years ago, we realized that our website had a lot of information, but you had to go here for the funding part, and over here for the consultation part, and over here for the AT part. And we thought, you know, this isn't very streamlined, and it's much more difficult for folks to navigate and acquire all this information. So we did an in-depth, it took about a year, but we decided to completely redo our website, and we created a section on it called AT Discovery. You'll see the link there at the bottom of the of this particular PowerPoint slide. And basically what AT Discovery provides is a clearinghouse for information related to AT devices and services. Each web page, and there are 10 because we break it into each one of the AT categories. Each web page contains case studies, including people of all ages and disabilities. We do those in a variety of settings. So there are case studies about children in educational settings, adults in employment settings, individual in community living settings. There are tips. There are financial and funding information. There are a number of videos and links. It tells you anything and everything you would want to know about hearing all on one page with regard to AT. anything and everything you'd want to know about vision, about recreational items, about learning cognition development, about, seating, mobility, and positioning. It just takes every single AT category and breaks it down with helpful resources. So these web pages can help you find AT solutions to help individuals do tasks that would otherwise be difficult or impossible to do. And after we did this for education, we thought, wow, that's, it was a lot of work, but because we are charged with helping individuals across the lifespan with every kind of disability, and those who function in every kind of environment, be it educational, community living, or employment, we also went back and did it for across every category for employment and community living. So it's a very comprehensive section on our website. And if you haven't yet discovered it, I encourage you to check it out at that link. Next. So I've been talking about these categories, and maybe you didn't realize that there were so many, but these were determined probably 20 years ago because there's so much assistive technology available that it was broken out into the various categories of functionality. So there is computer access, vision, hearing, learning cognition and development, daily living, speech communication, seating, positioning, and mobility, environmental adaptations, recreation, sports, and leisure, and vehicle modifications. It's supposed to touch every component or aspect that an individual would do in their daily lives. Next. And what I've done quickly here, just so that you have a sort of a sense of what we're talking about, I've provided a couple of examples in the next series of slides for you to better understand. So computer access, obviously it's, computers and keyboards and all those things, but it's also the mice and whatnot. So I've just provided a couple of examples. If you go on our website and search our inventory, there is a massive inventory that you can look at for computer access and see many, many more. And for each and every item on our website, if you click on it, it takes you to a place that will share a specific description about that item. What does that item cost? Who's the manufacturer? And we also always try to have at least 2 or 3 of a variety of an item that would do the same sort of thing. In other words, we are not at all a vendor of AT. We are a free program. We do not prefer one vendor over another or try to encourage someone to use this product over that product. Because remember, I shared with you in the beginning, the whole idea is to make an informed decision about a piece of AT that will help you do something you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. That's why you go through that demonstration process. That's why you borrow the item and try it out in the environment where you're going to need to use it to ensure that it's really going to work for you. Because if that particular one doesn't, then we may have 5 others that do. Hence, we're not promoting one item over another. We have a variety of computer access items and vision items. So again, here's just a couple of items: Logitech wireless trackball and a rock adapted joystick. Next. Again, examples of vision items. A talking calculator. Again, there are several. iPads with various apps. The one that's shown here is the Voice Dream Reader that frequently helps people in accessing Bookshare, if you're familiar with that product. The Pebble Mini handheld magnifier, and simple low-tech AT such as a writing guide kit. Next. Examples of hearing. From the Comfort Contago to a telephone amplifier to a Comfort Duet. Again, to learn more about any of these devices, you can read about them on our website or always, call one of us and we can provide you with greater detail. Next, examples of learning cognition and development. Ring pen ultra large to help individuals with writing. A watch minder or an Evo pen. Again, what's the differences in them? I mean, everyone, you know, what works for me would not perhaps work for you. If an individual has CP, the way it might display for me might not at all be the way it displays for you. Again, the reason why you want to ensure that the AT you're acquiring is going to meet your unique needs as a user. Next, examples of LCD for learning, cognition, and development. An iPad with a notability app. These are very popular in high school and at the college level. Chromebook with headset, or the Chromebook with a different app that's being shown there called the Mind Mup. Next, various daily living AT examples: the little spill cup, an inner lip plate, or silverware tools with built-up handles. Next, speech communication. Again, this goes all over the map, from very low tech to high tech. A lower tech speech communication device is the 7-level communication builder. A more, much more sophisticated, expensive device using eye gaze is the Tobii. The 12 is talking about the dimension. Whenever you see numbers like that with an AAC device, it's talking much like a TV. You get a 45-inch, 55-inch, a 65-inch. The I-12 is the diameter of the device. The NovaChat 8, again, the 8 is the diameter of the NovaChat. It comes in 8, 10, 12. Our iPad with lamp. So again, lamp, likely many of you have heard of it, is a type of app that then goes on an iPad that then becomes a speech generating device, like we chatted about earlier, that we vend speech generating devices through Oklahoma Healthcare Authority. Next, seating, positioning, and mobility. There are so many cool devices, and we have many, many, many of them in our inventory. A disco seat. You can see it has the little raised bumps, and it vibrates, which many children find, very helpful and helps them to stay seated. A how to hug seat. When they sit in it, it sort of wraps around them and makes them feel comfortable. Or a modular hose holder. It is a device that is very easy to use, and you position it on a wheelchair or a desktop or a table that helps to hold a computer or iPad or other sort of tablet in place with ease for the end user. Next. Different environmental adaptations, various switches. And again, we have many. There are, those that are very sensitive to the touch, very, very low pressure to make them work. What part of that individual's body can access something? Is it going to simply be their head, their cheek, their hand? There are switches for every type of access available through our inventory. Crank adjustable standing desk. Does something need to be modified in the classroom, at home, in the place of work to make that workspace area work differently for that student or adult that might be a chair user? Next. Various, don't ever forget recreation, sports, and leisure. We all want to have fun. So what are some of the different AT items that might help someone in this AT category? Well, there are talking pedometers, tactile checkers for the individual with low vision or blindness, or a low vision Monopoly game. Next. Various examples of vehicle modification. Wheelchair tie downs that ensure the safety of someone who's a chair user in some sort of vehicle. Various hand grips that help stabilize the individual getting in or out of the car. And the Unbuckle Me device, which for those of you who have ever, I have 6 young grandchildren, and if you've ever experienced getting them in and out of their car seats, you can well understand why someone chose to invent the Unbuckle Me. It's very handy. Next. This is my personal information. Feel free to call me or anyone else at Able Tech at any time. We are we love to to help people to be able to access and acquire ATs. So any question, if we don't have the answer, we'll figure it out for you. Frequently people will call and ask about a device, and if we don't have it, we acquire it so that the individual can try it out. Again, it was my pleasure being here with you. Do you have any questions?
Linda, thank you so much for joining us today and for that very thorough and great presentation. I know that I've utilized Able Tech in the past for my daughter, but it's great to be reminded, and it looks like you all have expanded significantly in the training component. And so I took some notes. I'll be reaching out.
Right.
So now is time for the question and answer session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the Q&A section right now. But I'll go ahead. We did have some folks that emailed us some questions ahead of time. So I'll start with those, Linda. So the first question is, my school has said that if they try a low-tech accommodation for my child, I'm sorry, let me do that again. My school has said that they have to try a low-tech accommodation for my child first. I don't feel like that is enough. How long should they wait before they consider a higher level of technology?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know that there's the magic answer for how long you try a low tech before you try a high tech. But I will say that, you could be trialing the low tech device that the school has borrowed on behalf of your child, but there's nothing to stop you from borrowing a mid-tech or higher tech device. Anyone can borrow from Oklahoma Able Tech. You just have to be an Oklahoma resident to do so. So while I encourage you to work with your school, you may also individually contact us, or if your child has a therapist, they may contact us. We can loan up to 3 devices at any time for a borrower. So the school could be trialing 3 with your child. You could be trialing 3 with your child. A therapist could be trying. So what I'm trying to say is I don't want you to do anything contrary to what your school might be suggesting, but you have the liberty to try other things at the same time.
Great, thanks, Linda.
You bet.
Another question that we received. I think my child could benefit from some kind of assistive technology at school. What should I do?
I would really advise you to look on our website, find the consultation form. It is not difficult to fill out. It just asks questions about, where do you think your child is experiencing challenges or difficulty? Is it with, learning this or sitting still, or, what is the issue that you're trying to help that you think the child would benefit from? If they could sit still, if they could pay more attention, if they could read better, we need to have some better understanding than my child might benefit from AT. Help us figure out what that is so that we can refine it and send you the appropriate AT in the appropriate category, or several of them, so that you can begin to trial that item to see if it is making a difference.
So Linda, on that note, are there any things that the parent should do with the school as far as for that process? So obviously the parent can reach out and get something, but what should the parent do with the school?
I would suggest that, obviously during the IEP that you should raise that question, but I don't think you have to wait for the IEP to raise that question. I would suggest that at any time you think that your child might benefit from assistive technology, you have that conversation with them. And of course, it may help them if you've already done a little bit of your homework to say, I noticed that he's having trouble sitting still. He's having trouble paying attention. He's having trouble hearing. He's not able to see. Whatever it is. And do you think assistive technology might benefit him? Could we look at the AT that's available for free through Able Tech to trial something? I don't know that all teachers are aware that we exist. So you might, the teacher themselves may be wondering, what are we going to do here? I mean, as wonderful as teachers are, let's face it, that they may not be aware. Frequently people tell me able tech's the best kept secret in the state. And maybe they don't know, maybe they haven't heard of it. And maybe you'll be the one to educate them about it. And then when they hear that you can trial these devices for free to see what works or what doesn't, maybe that will give them great relief as well.
Great, great. So another question that we have is, my child is with a caregiver after school. I would like her, so the caregiver, to be trained on my child's school device. Can I ask them to do that? So I think she's saying, can she ask the school to train them on to train the caregiver on the device?
Linda Jaco's opinion, yes. We talked about AT devices and AT services. Remember, we talked about that, it does no good to get the device if the people who are going to be with the child aren't knowledgeable about the device to support the child's use of the device. Whether it's the cafeteria worker, of course, I'm talking about life as we used to know it, but I mean, anyone who is with that child, especially if that it's an essential item for that child and it's helping them do something they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Remember all the things that I can sort of say in my sleep, but I'm saying them again to you because the whole reason that AT was acquired is to help them. So then what a shame if they're with someone who isn't there to support that effort. Absolutely, yes. You and or the teacher and or frequently manufacturers, vendors who sell these devices are willing to do training. The caregiver could call Able Tech and we could set up a virtual demonstration and we can show them how to use the device. There are many options for figuring out how, but yes, to answer your specific question, I think it would be perfectly appropriate to have the teacher do so as well. And in today's environment, maybe that could be accomplished through Facebook, Skype, Zoom.
Great, great. Thank you, Linda.
Mhm.
Okay, another question. At home, we have a device that has several programs that help my child with his schoolwork. The school wants us to send it every day. Does the school have to provide one for use at school? So it sounds like the family owns a device that helps with schoolwork at home. And do they have to send it every day, or does the school have to provide a device for him to use at school?
Well, I'm talking a little bit in the dark because I don't know what the device is and I don't know how essential that device is to that child's school day. But certainly if it is a device that's essential to their learning, then I would say yes, it would be helpful to either send it or to ask that the school acquire one themselves. Much like if the school, frequently the reverse is what is being asked of us all the time. Okay, the school bought the device, but they don't want to send it home because they're afraid it's going to get damaged, blah, 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 blah. Well, in Linda Jaco's opinion, again, if it, especially if it's something that's essential for that child, a speech device, well, how sad, I'll use this word, how sad that the child would only be able to speak while at school because that device is that child's ability to speak. And now it's not going to go home or whatever. So I think it sort of depends on the device, how essential it is. Obviously, hopefully you have a good working relationship with the school and the school vice versa with the parent so that something can be worked out to where you're either sending it back and forth or they're acquiring one for the child's use at school and vice versa. If they only buy it for use at school, can it be sent home or are the parents willing to maybe acquire it so that there's seamless learning taking place?
Great. This is a little bit more, this is a diagnoses specific question, asking what kind of devices are you aware of that work well for a student with dyslexia?
Oh gosh, there are numerous ones. And it again is going to depend upon how that dyslexia is in that child. It's not like, okay, child has X, they need a Y. It simply doesn't work that way. It needs to be what you would best. I encourage you, if you want to see about what would help that child. I don't know if it's the way they're writing, or, there's so many different devices that are available. You really need to call us and or be willing to fill out the consultation form describing just exactly how it's interfering or making a challenge or posing a challenge. Or you can go on our website and search by dyslexia and see, all the devices. It just, there is not, when it comes to AT, it's not a magic bullet. It is that the reason why we have so many devices in each category is because what may help me with my hearing loss may not help you with your hearing loss. What may help me with my vision loss may not help you with your vision loss. It is available to be able to demonstrate and trial it in the place where you're going to use it, so that you can determine which device is specifically most appropriate for you. This is done to save money, to save time, to decrease the abandonment of AT. Many times people would get AT, oh, this isn't, well, because you didn't go through that process of learning what's going to meet your unique needs. Again, as I explained, I could be diagnosed with CP, you could be diagnosed with CP. The way my CP displays is going to be likely decidedly different than the way your CP. So I might need X reacher, you might need Y reacher, I might need, it really is there as this is why the federal government came up with the demonstration and the short-term loans, to give that opportunity for increased access and to learn which device meets your need versus my need.
Another question we have, Linda, what's required to have Sooner Care fund TA for a student with dyslexia and an ADHD diagnosis?
Can you repeat that? There was, my other computer sitting here was beeping in and I didn't catch quite everything you were saying. Sorry.
Sure. So we have a student with dyslexia who also has a diagnosis of ADHD. Okay. And the question is, what is required for Sooner Care to fund TA for that student?
Well, you've stumped me on that one. If I don't know the specificity and I don't want to imagine what it would be. If you send us an email and or call us, we can research that for you. You can also look at our extensive funding manual online to find out those kinds of answers, but I would recommend calling us and we'll figure that out for you. I don't have the answer to that specific question.
I don't for that specific question, but I know from past experience that if you want Sooner Care to fund any type of equipment like that, you typically have to have a doctor's note stating why that is needed. So I would at least start the process of trying to gather that.
Well, that part is very true. Yeah. If you're seeking, we got whatever the funding stream is, if you're hoping for Medicaid to pay for something, there's got to be a medical reason. If you're hoping for IDEA to pay for it in the schools, there's got to be an educational or learning issue. You've got to be able to justify a legitimate argument for a medical challenge if you want Medicaid to be able to be the funder.
It sounds like if it is impacting the student's educational environment, it might be something that they could request the school to cover.
Yes, well. If it's educational, IDEA. If it's medically involved, Medicaid.
Right. Okay.
Funding is very specific to age, income, and disability. And if you look at our funding manual, which is online under resources, it will help channel you into the right funding sources for the person's age, the income, and the disability. Those are the three parameters that either get you qualified or disqualified for funding.
Interesting. That sounds like a very helpful qualifier there. Great. Okay, Linda, you ready for one or two more?
Sure.
Okay. So this question says, my child will use his talker, so his communication device, it sounds like, at home, but not at school. What do you think could be the problem?
Well, my mind goes in many directions about what I think could be the problem. And again, without knowing the actual circumstances, I'm not sure. Something is making that child feel uncomfortable or lack the confidence or something, or maybe they're not feeling like they have the support. Have you tried talking with the teacher? Have you tried having sending a video, a short, little 1 minute to show the teacher? Have you tried Skyping with the teacher or FaceTiming with the teacher so that the child can see how, so that the teacher can see how the child is using it appropriately at home? So something needs to happen to equalize those two settings so that the child feels comfortable to do it in that setting. I don't know now. My kids are all grown. I don't know to what extent you could, just talk with the teacher and explain the circumstances or the environment under which you're doing it at home, so that they could try to make the same kind of environment at school. Maybe there's something different there. I don't know without knowing the particular instances, but if the child can use it at home successfully, there should be no reason, right, why they can't. So there must be something going on there that's just not creating that comfort or that feeling of support or something to make that child be doing it at school as well.
So communication is
Yes,
definitely
totally.
key in any of these things, and keeping in mind as well that the IEP team is designed to be a team, and so making sure that those communications are open and that no one feels that they can't bring up things and talk about things in regard to what is working or what is best for the student.
Totally.
Great, wonderful. Let me see. I think that is the last of our questions that we have. I just want to remind everyone that if you have additional questions, Linda was so gracious to share her contact information earlier. You can also contact Sherilyn Walton or our friend Michelle DeBerry at the State Department of Education with any questions as well. And those can be answered. And Sherilyn has Linda's contact information, so if you didn't jot that down, you can contact her as well.
May I just say one last thing in closing?
Of course.
Able Tech has staff, speech language pathologist on staff, a certified occupational therapist on staff, a teacher for the visually impaired, an AT specialist. So, I mean, we have a group of individuals who, if your question is about vision, about speech, about seating and positioning, we typically then take those questions and or consultation forms and share them with, we have a team effort, but we also then have unique expertise in our staff who can take it to the next level with you. So don't hesitate to call us and or reach out via email and or complete the consultation form online. We will work with you to find the answers.
Well, Linda, you and your team have been so helpful in this, and I really do hope that this webinar was helpful for all of you that joined us today. Feel free to view the recordings of this and previous webinars on our YouTube channel, which you can see on the screen. And we do have one final webinar scheduled for next Tuesday at noon on transition services. So we hope that you will register and join us for that. Now, tomorrow you'll receive an email with a survey about today's webinar. So please take time to respond and let us know what other topics you're interested in learning about and how this webinar today was helpful for you. Also, be sure to follow us on social media to get details of upcoming webinars and other events with the ARC of Oklahoma. Please stay connected with us, and please do reach out with any questions that you didn't answer today or things that come up later on. Again, the ARC of Oklahoma is here to help you, and thank you again for joining us. Have a great day.